Hey everybody, Nick here to do my assessment of the Alliant Education Specialist lesson plan template here. I've been teaching at the current site that I'm in for about 10 years and I've been credentialed since 2010 in social science. So I've been reviewed many times with many different lesson plan templates, and I must admit this is one of the most comprehensive templates I've ever seen. Which I guess makes sense when you think about all the accommodations we're making within each lesson that we do. So for instance, I'll start with what's different about this particular lesson plan template compared to ones I've seen in the past. The first thing that jumped out at me was when you get to the closing part of the lesson plan template, it asks about how students will be assessed. That's actually something new, not per se the assessment, but rather the assessment for mastery. That's usually something that's achieved over the course of many lessons or even a unit. And I thought it was interesting that it asked, the exact question is, how will you provide all students with opportunities to demonstrate mastery or progress toward the objective? I thought that that was a little bit different. I also thought that some of the criteria were interesting, in that it asked you to address all 6 of the TPEs that are present on the lesson. Typically, at least at the site where I've been now for about 10 years, we typically are tackling 1 TPE per lesson, 1 TPE being teacher performance expectations. We usually just choose 1 of those per lesson to address. It appears that all 6 of them will be addressed at different times during the lesson. I thought that was pretty different. Obvious to me, but different from what I've done in the past, is the diversity of learners and how you're going to address multiple types of diversity of learners in a given lesson, which of course in the past with some lesson plan templates it does ask for how you're going to address certain diversity of learners. For instance, English language learners. In this case, we're addressing multiple differences of learners, but that makes sense given the fact that this is modified for an education specialist. The other one was the differentiation in the lesson. I thought that was quite different. I've not seen how much differentiation they're asking for. I've not seen that previously in other lesson plan templates. But again, par for the course, given that it's a lesson plan focusing on education specialists. It also brought up the co-teaching approach. That's something I really don't know exactly what that means. That's a new avenue for me. So for instance, on the opening and the guided practice, and it appears the introduction of new material, there's a box to check for co-teaching approach. So that'll have to be something I learn about because I don't know that much about that. The other is at the very end of it, it asked about outside the classroom and how we plan to, it says outside the classroom, if appropriate, how will students practice what they learned beyond sort of review-based homework. I think this is a place where we could really get creative in how we address how students take the information they learn in class and then apply it outside of class, especially if it's like a life skills class or something like that. And then it asks us what elements we think we may run into or find challenging. The first one was introduction of the new information section here. One of the things I thought was very interesting was that it broke down the co-teaching approach: time, general education teacher, special educator, students. I thought that was a little bit, I think that'll be challenging for me to be able to address and sort of find a role that both a co-teacher and perhaps an aide, as well as myself, will play. Another thing I find challenging is creating differentiation for a considerable amount of new learners with different learning styles and different learning modalities. Another thing I found challenging was the collaboration. At the very end of the template, it asks about how, it says, what other education professionals will you collaborate with to ensure all learner needs are met? So I'm assuming in that case it could be a co-teacher, but it could also be ensuring that curriculum is aligned. So for instance, I align my curriculum pretty often with the English department at my school. I'm in the social science department. In this case, I think that, again, that opens up for a lot of collaboration, which, as we've learned thus far in our studies, is huge when it comes to ensuring that special education students are truly engaged in learning. Another thing I find challenging or will find challenging, it says all students are to demonstrate mastery, or progress toward objective. I brought that up in what was different. In this case, I find that to be a major challenge. And then the last thing is modeling behavior expectations. That is very interesting. I think it's obvious that teachers should model the expectations they expect of their students, but the fact that that's part of the lesson plan template, I find that very interesting, and I'm curious what the criteria will be that we as teachers need to meet in that case. All right, that's my input on the lesson plan template. Thank you very much.